I'm going to give people a couple of minutes to trickle in, but we are ready.
Virgin pencil. Oh.
I'm going to give people a couple of seconds, okay? Gives us a break. Most of you are back. So I'm pulling my notes. I'm going to share my notes with you in a second. All right, guys. Okay. So again, this will seem like a review. We talked about a bunch of things in the morning, this morning, and we are gonna kind of see those as examples. You can't see my screen yet. Okay, so guys, let's do some of these problems. Okay, a couple of things, guys. Some of you will tell me you could, that I assign you a lot of problems. Okay, why am I doing that? Because you need to kind of practice. The way I see it, if you can do the ones in the bottom, you're good. But you should practice. And do you, of course, you want to do the MATLAB problems. They're really the same problems because I choose them. And you have some extra problems here. Okay, just so that you understand. So let's do a couple of these. Now, the catch here is when we do these problems, all the stuff we talked about at 9:35 today, right here, right here, right here, they're all gonna come all together, okay? So I know some of you still remember it. Some of you may have forgotten. Don't worry. Once you practice, things will make a little more sense. So let's do a couple of the easy ones first. Okay, so this one, number 13, which is a direct application of what we talked about. Well, the basis, this is P. Am I recording? I think I am. Don't want to make that mistake. Yeah, I'm recording. Let's share. It says I'm recording. Okay, guys. So guys, the bases are the same. One is 2 to the power 3, and this dot means multiplication. This dot means multiplication, okay? So, well, that's easy. 2 to the power 2 plus 5, and, sorry, 2 plus 3, which is 2 to the power 5. Done. Now, if you want to write 2 5 times, multiply it. 2 times 2 is 4. I think it'll be 32. I think anybody will accept both. This is okay. This is okay. All right. So that's an easy application of what we did in the morning. And some of these problems are very easy. And if you do it in your head and say that's 2 to the power 5, I'll be fine. Most teachers will be fine with you. Okay. Nothing too fancy. Okay, now this one, we didn't explicitly discuss it, but it's something, that's why we're talking about it now. So how do we, well, I think we did. Let me double check. Let me double check. Well, we didn't, it must be, it kind of falls under this, but don't worry, we're going to discuss it now. All right, so guys, I'm going to explain it to you a little bit here. 3 to the power 3 is in parentheses, and there's a 2 outside. Well, one way to say, argue that this is same as 3 to the power 3 times 3 to the power 3. We're supposed to write 3 to the power 3 twice. Okay, okay, which is really 3 to the power 3 times 3 to the power 3. And these bases are the same. You add the powers, and it's 3 to the power 6. Done. Another way to keep it straight. Here is the formula, fancy formula. A to the power m, and the whole thing to the power n. You multiply the exponents, all right? That's exactly what we did. 3 times 2 is 6. That's what we did. So here's an example of a problem, and here's the formula that goes with it. All right, guys, moving on again. If you feel like, well, can you explain it again? Don't be shy, unmute yourself. So let's try something like this, number 18. Okay, this one is a direct application of this formula right here. The quotient rule right here. Okay, when you have the same base, one is in the bottom, one is on top, you subtract the power, start with the top. So we're going to say this is equal to 3 to the power 8 minus 4, which turns out to be 3 to the power 4. And leave your answer like this. If you want to find 3 to the power 4, I think it's 81, you can also write it like this. Both are acceptable for me. Questions, guys? All right. So what's next? Let's do something like number 20. Okay. What's going on here, guys? Number 20 goes as follows. Okay, one more thing you guys kind of understand. I did mention it, but we're going to mention it now. If I write 3, you can always assume there's a little 1 here because it's really 3 written once. Okay, so I'm going to pretend this 2 has a little 1 here. The power of 2 is 1. And what do we do if we have the same base? Well, we add the powers. So I'm going to write -3 plus 1. This 1 coming from here. Now, -3 and +1 is -2. Okay, most books will tell you to simplify further. And remember, guys, we said if your power is negative, your exponent is negative, you can always bring it down. Many people will say, don't leave your answer with negative power exponent. I would say that too. So leave it like this, and that's acceptable. If you want to say, well, I do know 2 squared is 4, I'm going to write it like this. That's also acceptable. Of course, this is the cleanest. But don't leave your answer with negative exponents. How are we feeling, guys?
Good.
Good.
Very good. Very good. Again, don't be shy. Just say, can you explain it again? And I know this is our second or third class. So when you do things at home and you feel like you're a little lost, you can email me your little snapshot, the problem you're working on that didn't work out. You can, if you're doing something from the book, you can say, I tried 21, I couldn't do it. Can you do it? I'll do it. But now we don't have those questions today. So I'll just pick my problems. Okay, this one, I know you guys won't have any trouble, but I will still do it. I'll tell you why. Okay, so we can say if the bases are the same, we subtract the powers, and of course the top minus the bottom. So I can write it like this, which is 4 minus 7 is -3. As discussed earlier, you don't want to leave a power of negative numbers. So you're going to say 1/3 to the power 3. And what's 3 to the power 3? Your calculator, or you can say 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27. So you can say something like this. Yeah. Okay, guys. All right. Okay, so this is the next. So we have done most of these. And again, I will do some of the, well, let's do one more. Let's do one more. You can almost, well, if you were in my class, I would just ask students to do it orally. What do you think that, well, let's see if we can do it here. Who's going to tell us how he or she would do number 8 and another person, ideally number 9? How would you, sorry, number 10. Who's going to tell us what the answer to 8 is?
Is the answer to number 8 +1?
Correct. Any number raised to the power 0 is 1. And thank you for participating. This is 1. Okay, this one, anything raised to the power, okay. It's a little tricky. This is number 10 is not same as number 1. Number 10, view number 10 as something like this. Okay, 9 to the power 0 is 1. And there is a -1, don't forget. So the answer is -1. Would that be acceptable, guys?
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so those little things, pesky little details, don't mess them up and lose points. All right, let's do 19, okay? Let's do 19. And nothing going on really, but might as well. Not much going on. I shouldn't say nothing going on, not a whole lot going on. All right, so okay, don't let the negative power bother you very much. So I know there's a bunch of 3's here. Who cares? The bases are the same. This has a power of 1. So I'm going to write 3 to the power -3 plus 1. And -3 plus 1 is -2. So this boils down to 3 to the power -2. I don't like to put negative as in my power. So I'm going to write it like this. And 3 square, and 3 square is really 9.
I have a question.
Sure.
So when it comes to like my math lab, are they going to want that final answer you gave?
That's a good question. I think they will. Okay. I think you asked a good question. I'm gonna give you I'm gonna give you my answer in a little bit of detail. I think they will want it. Okay. And the good news is you can enter your answers as many times as you want. I didn't put any constraint. I think when they say simplified, they probably mean this. Yeah. And if you mess up, you're going to just enter it again. Okay. So there's no, like you have to do it 3 times. Otherwise it'll be vanished. It'll vanish. It'll allow you to do it as many times as you want. And that's how I set it up. Any other questions, guys? Okay, let's try a couple of these here. Again, not a whole lot going on. It'll seem a little repetitive, but it's still worth doing. I don't think we'll be able to wrap this up. This is the last section that you're looking at right now is really the fun part, okay? It makes things a little more challenging, but this will seem not too bad to you guys. Let's try it. Try some of these. Let's try number 33. Okay, so we are going to multiply the -5 and 3 are both powers. We multiply the powers using the rules we know. Okay, so this will be x -5 times +3 is -15. Hence the power is -15. So you're going to write it like this. Okay, if your book, if your MATLAB accepts x to the power -15, be my guest, leave it like that. I don't exactly remember. You do your homework and tell me, okay? Most books that I'm familiar with will ask you to do it this way, but if they accept -5, you're okay. Nothing to worry about. And if you do that on my exam, I won't take off points, but I'm just letting you know that generally we tend to favor positive exponents. Okay. Ready for the next one, guys?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so this is the same x to the power -24. You can put the -24 down. Let's try number 38. Let's try number 38. No big deal. No big deal. Okay, the bases are the same. The numerator is x to the power 30. The denominator is x to the power -10. So bases are the same. And I'm going to subtract, and be careful. I'm going to subtract. And this is where it's very easy to make a mistake. So I'm going to subtract -30 from 30. That's why I'm using the word subtract. And this negative sign comes from -10. It's not just 10, it's -10. Okay, this negative and this negative will turn into positive. If you're not alert, it's very easy to mess up. That's all. Done. X to the power 40. All right, guys, moving on, and you can always slow me down by asking question. Why'd you do it this way? Explain that again. That's totally fine. All right, guys, let's do a couple of these here. A couple of these here. All right, let me do this. Okay, this one is actually interesting. All right, so here, the power of 2 belongs to 6. The power of 2 belongs to 4x to the power 4 as well. So what is that supposed to mean? This is how I'm going to rewrite it. 6 to the power 2 times x to the power 4 times 2 to the power 2. Okay, you have to understand this 2 belongs to everything inside. 6 to the power 2 is 36 because 6 times 6 is 36. And when you have a power, x to the power 4 to the power 4, remember guys, we multiply the powers. So this is actually, yeah, this is x to the power 8. Now, I don't like the idea of writing multiplication sign right next to x. So I'm just going to leave it like this. Done. That 6 becomes 36 because there is a 2 as its power. And x to the power 4 raised to the 2. You multiply the two powers, you get x times, sorry, 4 times 4, 4 times 2, which is 8. I'm pausing a little bit just to, in a way, slow down the class. I mean, if you just lecture for 1.5 hours, that's okay, but that's sometimes a little hard for students. I think I have time to do 1 or 2 problems from your section, and we will wrap it up tomorrow, and we will do P3 tomorrow. Let's see. All right, let's try 42, okay? Let's try 42. There's not a whole lot going on, but there's a tiny thing that you want to be aware of so that you don't mess it up. All right. Remember, guys, I said earlier today, -2 to the power 3 is really 2 to the power 3. If this is odd, you're going to stick a minus sign. If this was even, you're going to make it plus. Same kind of a thing. So the sign is odd. This is 3. So I will have an extra minus. Sorry. I will have, because the power is 3, I'm going to use a negative sign here, and I'm going to rewrite this as follows. Okay? And this power 3 now belongs to +6 and y. And you're going to, don't forget the minus sign, you're going to write 6 to the power 3, y to the power 3. And 6 to the power 3, I should know, but I'm going to use my calculator. 6 to the power 3 is 6 times 6 times 6. I'm getting 216. And y to the power 3 is y to the power 3. That's your answer. Again, if this was even, you would ignore this sign. It'll become plus. If this is odd, you want to make sure you put a little minus sign right here, and right here. Okay. So this is not a bad time to stop. We still have 7-8 minutes. I'll be happy to take some questions. So let's go over a little, let me give you a little overview of what we have done. We are kind of, you should be able to do most of the problems from P2 on MATLAB. I will do some of these, okay? They're easy to mess up. There's not a whole lot going on, but they're still easy to mess up. And I'll do some of these next class. But let's see, if you want, I can do 1 or 2 problems, not a problem. But I think it's not a bad point to, it's not a bad place to stop and see if you have any questions about today's lesson, about the course in general, about what we have done, where we're going, all those things. Let's see, we still have 5-6 minutes, so I'll be here. I'll see if you have any questions for me.
So just to double check with you, all homework is due at the end of the semester,
That's correct. Okay.
but it's recommended for us to do it right before the exam to get that practice in.
Exactly. Not just recommended. I would say you want to do it.
Strongly
And-
urge,
I'm sorry.
strongly urge us to do that.
Could you repeat your question once again?
Strongly urge us to do that.
I would, exactly. I would. And look, you have to practice. It's one thing to watch somebody do it and say, yeah, I get it. But if math is such a field, such a discipline, if you don't practice, even if you feel like, I have so many students who tell me in class that I understand what you do, but I get nervous. So you do want to practice. Okay. The reason I put it like this, I could have changed the dates, right? The reason I put it, there's always 1 or 2 people who will have computer issues, who will have family issues. So fine. So again, I would also encourage you to really keep up with the class. For instance, go home and try to do the MATLAB today. But if you miss a day, it's not going to hurt you. So let's say we wrap up P1, P2, P3, P4, and chapter 1 before exam 1. You want to make sure you're really familiar with those problems. You're going to see the exact same problems that I do here in class. These same problems show up on MATLAB because I choose them, and the same problems will show up on the exam. So you want to practice. Yes, I would urge you to do them. Absolutely.
Okay.
Awesome. If you don't have any questions for me, feel free to leave. I'll be here another 5 minutes. Again, it's our time. We can talk. I won't be able to answer your questions about your grades, and we don't have those issues yet. But if just to let you know, if you ever want to have a private conversation, you have to make a Zoom meet. You have to make an appointment via Zoom. I will send you a private link, and of course, I can show you your grades and show you, discuss all that. So we can do those things in class, but in future, if you want to talk about your grades, that can always be scheduled separately. But in class, anything generic, I'll be here. Danielle and Cicely, do you have any questions for me? All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.